Hello, I'm Kent Morlan. I'm an attorney in Tulsa, Oklahoma, who's been practicing law for more than 50 years. I'm going to take a few minutes today to talk about the law of homicide. Homicide is a manner of death when one person causes the death of another. Not all homicide is murder, as some deaths caused by another person are manslaughter, and some are lawful, such as when justified by affirmative defense, like insanity or self-defense. There are basically three types of murder. First-degree murder, which is an intentional killing punishable by death or mandatory life in prison without parole. Second-degree murder, a killing committed during a felony punishable by adults with mandatory life prisons and without parole. Third-degree murder, all other murders. There's also manslaughter, which is a form of negligent homicide, and aggravated manslaughter, which often involves drinking and driving with resulting accidents causing death. Without life without parole for adults, for juveniles, if mitigating factors exist, the judge may set a minimum term of between 25 and 40 years before parole eligibility, with a maximum term of at least 60 years, and the same goes for aggravating factors. The most common type of homicide in the United States is firearm homicide. In 2021, 78% of homicides were committed with firearms. Firearms are a bane on our society and result in tremendous problems. Legal process in homicide cases, it begins with the arrest of the suspect and the filing of charges by the prosecution. The accused then goes through preliminary hearing where the judge will decide if there's enough evidence to proceed with trial. Typically, almost all homicide cases are, in fact, bound over for trial. So how long is a life sentence? A life sentence lasts for the rest of a person's life. The exact length of life sentence is unknown because the length of a person's life varies. Also, typically, most people sentenced to life will eventually be paroled and will be let out, typically when they're relatively old. First-degree murder is the most serious form of homicide in the United States. It's defined as an intentional and premeditated act. First-degree murder characteristic: premeditation, any amount of planning before the act, weapons, usually explosives, armor-piercing bullets, or poison, torture, or lying in wait is also generally considered first-degree murder. Crimes punishable by death, also known as capital crimes, vary by jurisdiction in the United States. The death penalty is mainly used for murder. The death penalty is less common today than it has been in the past, and typically it takes years, if not decades, to actually execute somebody convicted of murder. Felony, murder is almost always a felony, of course, and it is a serious crime that is punishable by imprisonment for more than 1 year or by death. Felonies are the most serious crimes in the United States. That is true in all 50 states. What does 25 to life mean? A sentence of 25 years to life is an indeterminate life sentence, meaning that the prisoner must serve at least 25 years in prison before it became eligible for parole. The prisoner's actual sentence length depends on when they can convince the parole board that they have been rehabilitated. Every person guilty of murder in the first degree shall be punished by death, imprisonment in the state prison for life without possibility of parole, or imprisoned in the state prison for a term of years. The punishment is generally life in prison for first-degree murder. The death penalty is less often actually invoked in most of the states today. As of January 25, 2025, 27 states allow the death penalty. Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, North Carolina, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, and Wyoming. Texas executes more people than any other state in the United States. As I've already said, most homicides are committed with guns. Handguns are the most common type of gun used in crimes, including homicides, robberies, and gang violence. Again, firearms are a huge problem in the United States because of the Second Amendment. Okay, murder rates are usually highest in the summer months from June to August. However, December can also be a high month, according to some sources. St. Louis, Missouri has the highest murder rate in the U.S. with 69.4 murders per 100,000 people. In 2024, Tulsa County, Oklahoma only had 50 murders, all of which were solved by the police. Well, the actual trial of a homicide case is often a year or more. The process of going through the discovery, resolving disputes, motion disputes, and so forth generally takes a while, and it's very uncommon for a murder case to be resolved within a year. Criminal laws are the rules that apply when someone commits a crime, such as assault, robbery, murder, arson, rape, or other kinds of crimes. After a person is arrested and charged with a crime, that person goes to the court of general jurisdiction in the state, which varies from, in Oklahoma, it's the district courts. In Missouri, it's a circuit court. In Ohio, it's the court of common pleas. And New York is the Supreme Court, surprisingly. Surprisingly, the Supreme Court is the court of general jurisdiction in New York. In its most basic definition, homicide occurs when one person kills another, regardless of the circumstances. A double homicide is when two people are killed. A triple homicide is three, and so forth. Now, in the United States, it's usually more than a decade for a death sentence to be carried out. This is due to the time-consuming appeals process. I personally believe that the death penalty has never been, is not, and will never be good public policy because our system makes mistakes. And there have been over 3,600 homicides that have been defendants who have been convicted and then exonerated of the crime when it was determined that for various reasons the jury got it wrong, basically. Recently, a man who had been in prison in Oklahoma for 48 years was exonerated for a murder he didn't commit. He went in when he was 22. He got out when he was 70. So the system makes mistakes. Obviously, that particular gentleman did not get executed. He was sentenced to death, and the death sentence was set aside, and he was eventually released after 48 years in prison. Homicide, murder is more serious than homicide. Both are homicides, but murder involves malice aforethought or the intent to kill. Second-degree murder is murder that the decision to kill somebody is relatively instantaneous. For example, in a case that I'm familiar with, a man, someone tried to hijack his car, carjack his car. He pulled out a gun that he had, and the assailant turned and ran. The man shot him in the back. The defendant was charged with second-degree murder and was convicted. You do not have the right to shoot people under circumstances like that. One of the problems with carrying guns is that a gun will get you in trouble a lot more often than it'll get you out of trouble. Back to manslaughter, for example, ordinary manslaughter will get you maybe 10 years or 20 years maybe. If, however, you're drunk driving and kill somebody, the average sentence is 25 years in prison. Drinking and driving is not a good idea, and if you have the unfortunate luck of killing somebody while drinking and driving, you will spend a lot of the rest of your life in prison. Again, murder is the killing of a human being, and it is punishable by a term of years, usually life in prison or life without parole, or in some rare occurrences, the death penalty. I hope that this short lecture on homicide has been worth your time. Have a great day. I'll see you soon.